What is up, YouTube? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. It's a Top 5 Tuesday, and today's Top 5 is going to be my favorite Marvel superhero. So let's get right into the list. Now, honorable mention right off the bat. I absolutely love Daredevil, especially considering the Netflix show. I think that show is awesome. It takes from all of the great runs in the comic book, and it reinvigorated my love for this character. I really like Matt Murdock. I love Frank Miller stuff, the Man with No Fear stuff. I like the Brian Bendis run. There's a lot of great Daredevil out there, but there was just other characters that I loved just a little bit more, so I couldn't quite fit him into the top 5, but shout out to Daredevil, honorable mention. Now, going into my actual top 5, the number 5 spot for me is Stephen Strange, aka Doctor Strange. And you're going to find a familiar pattern with these characters. One of the things that I really like in my heroes is raw power. Stephen Strange is an incredibly powerful person in the Marvel Universe. I remember reading Civil War, and he's just sitting there with Uatu, the Watcher, and the Watcher's like, why are you not interfering? You could sway this conflict one way or the other. And Strange was just standing there not doing anything, and he says something to Uatu that's basically to the effect of, I am powerful enough to change the whole conflict, but that is not what should be done. I should allow them to work this out. That's how crazy strong that he is. Also, in the Jonathan Hickman Avengers and New Avengers line, he starts to really tap into some dark blood demon magic, and he actually summons this like Cthulhu-like creature that effectively kills Superman. And I know it's not actually Superman, but it's basically the equivalent of the Justice League in the multiverse. They go up against these guys. They're, not doing super well, and then Strange summons this like Cthulhu-like monster, and he loses control, and it kills the Superman. I'm going to put the images up because it's absolutely insane. Doc Strange, Stephen Strange is just raw power, baby, and I cannot wait for that movie. So that gets my number 5 spot. Now, let's go to my number 4 spot. Now, this one's really cool. This is Mark Spector, aka Moon Knight. And I hear like every couple weeks I hear a rumor that Netflix is going to bring Moon Knight into the fold of the MCU and do a live action series. I will do like a bajillion videos if this ends up happening. I love Moon Knight. He is just so dope to me, and I would love to see a rendition in the vein of the Daredevil show with Mark Spector. So let me tell you just a little bit about him. First of all, I heard it once said that Moon Knight is like if Batman and the Joker were the same person. And that, I think, is just like a brilliant little analogy. Now, originally, Mark's craziness and his multiple personality disorder was not part of his character. It was kind of later introduced and added this really nice flavor to the character that just brought like all these different kind of elements, and that's where you really get the Joker thing from. But basically, he is an ex-CIA operative that turns mercenary, does a lot of bad things, but has like kind of like a turn of heart, and ends up fighting for some disenfranchised people in Egypt, I believe, and he gets basically defeated and wounded and left for dead in the desert. He basically like crawls towards this kind of sanctuary, this like enclosed cove area, and he dies, and these worshippers that are there basically drag his body in front of the shrine of Khonshu, which is this moon god from Egypt, and he is basically resurrected and becomes Moon Knight, taking the cloth off of that statue and adorning it as his outfit. He also is super wealthy, so he has like that kind of Batman thing going on. If you want to get a really good taste of what Moon Knight's all about, read the first 6 issues of the rebooted Moon Knight from, I believe it was 2014, 2015, with Warren Ellis. Those issues are incredible. Really do a nice job of encapsulating everything that goes on with the character, especially issue number 6. If you only want to read one book and get an instant shot of what Moon Knight is all about, read the 6th issue in the Warren Ellis Moon Knight run, and it perfectly encapsulates what that character is about. Really dope stuff. So Moon Knight, Mark Spector, gets my number 4 spot. So let's get to the top 3. Now number 3 is Peter Parker, of course. Now I love Peter Parker. In fact, if I'm talking to somebody who's like not a big comic book person at all, and they're asking me like what's my favorite hero, I'll just say Spider-Man. I'll say Peter Parker, because it's like easy to find common ground, and the other two that I'm going to get to later, they will have no idea who those people are. So Spider-Man is like my go-to when I'm talking to like a non-comic book person. And to be completely honest, like I do absolutely love Peter Parker. A lot of my love for Peter Parker actually comes from the animated show that they did in the 90s. I remember coming home from school every day, throwing that show on and just loving it. And a lot of people are the same way. They watch that X-Men show and this Spider-Man show, and it kind of brought them into the Marvel Universe at large. The show does a great job of like introducing real-world problems. Peter's funny in it. He's, strong, but has, swaying opinions about the morality of the things that are going on in the world at large. And I really like his whole spiel. I like Spider-Man as a character that has an ideology, but is also grounded in a real person. So Spider-Man, Peter Parker, gets my number 3 spot. So let's get to the nitty gritty. I know you guys are curious, like what kind of characters would Josh like if Doc Strange, Daredevil, and Spider-Man aren't even in his top 2? Well, here we go. Getting into number 2, my second favorite hero in all of the Marvel universes is Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards is the son of Reed Richards and Susan Storm. He is a person so powerful that Celestials refer to him as beyond Omega level. Let me just give you just a few instances of what he did. When he was a kid, he discovered his abilities to basically manipulate reality. That's what he can do. He literally manipulates the folds of reality. He grows himself into an adult as a kid, because remember, when you're a kid, you wanted to just be an adult. So he grows himself as an adult, but then realizes that it's unnatural and that he has to learn a lot going through the actual growth as a kid. So basically literally transforms himself back into a child, okay? Then during the Onslaught arc, which was the manifestation and combination of Magneto's powers and Professor X's powers, many heroes died trying to destroy Onslaught's body, and unknowingly Franklin created a pocket universe. That's right, an entire universe that's referred to as the Heroes Reborn universe, in which he takes a lot of those characters that died and resurrects them, basically making them alive. And it was just like the craziest thing. So the kid can literally create universes, okay? But my absolute favorite arc with Franklin is in John Hickman's Future Foundation book, where a mysterious stranger comes and starts mentoring Franklin on how to use his powers. Now, we find out in that run that it is actually a future version of himself trying to train himself to be always preserving life. At the end of that run, he literally fights Celestials, okay? Now, Celestials, if you've watched the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, or if you read Marvel Comics, are these just infinitely powerful beings that would create experiments on worlds to try to create the optimal types of life and create powerful things. They visit Earth multiple times. If they're displeased, they destroy everything, these sort of things. So he literally fights what are called the Mad Celestials, and he has a pet Galactus. He literally takes a Galactus from one of these different universes in the multiverse and imbues him with the power cosmic. Normally Galactus, of course, imbues his heralds with the power cosmic, but Franklin's literally so strong that he has a pet Galactus, and with the pet Galactus he fights off the Celestials and thwarts the plan of the Council of Reeds. If that kind of sounds awesome to you, read that run. It is dope. And I didn't spoil everything. I didn't spoil what happens, so you should definitely check that out. Also, in Secret Wars by John Hickman, which is his last work in Marvel Comics, it might be his last work in mainstream comics in general. At the very end of that book, they are taking all of the energy that was held in Molecule Man, which, like, I'm going to go really deep and nerdy on you guys for just a second here, but basically it is kind of introduced in John Hickman's Avengers run and in Secret Wars that Molecule Man is actually a bomb, a time bomb, placed in every single universe by the Beyonders to be able to destroy the entire multiverse in an instance if they wanted to or if they needed to. Doctor Doom discovers this and starts basically taking the power of all of these Molecule Mans and putting it into one Molecule Man, okay? So you're outside of space-time, you have all the power of the Beyonders trapped within Molecule Man. Franklin Richards is kind of siphoning that off slowly, combining it with his own abilities to manipulate reality and recreating universes that then Reed is throwing out into existence. It's like the craziest, most meta thing I've ever read. It's so dope. But basically, everything that you are reading in Marvel Comics right now, if you go pick up a book right now from Marvel Comics, that universe, everything that's happening in it, was created by Franklin Richards. So just consider that. It's pretty mind-blowing, kind of hard to contemplate sort of stuff. But that's why I love this character. He's like so beyond anything new. I like power, right? So he's like insanely powerful, but also just like really meta and hard to contemplate as a reader. And I like that sort of stuff. It like itches this part of me that makes me love good fiction. So that's the number 2 spot. But after going on about Franklin Richards, you're probably asking yourself, like, what could possibly beat that? What could possibly be number 1? And this one is a very odd pick. It's kind of out of nowhere, but this would be the Scarlet Spider, okay? And this is not the Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider. No, I'm talking about the Kane version of the character. And we got to go really, really deep and nerdy one more time, guys, because I got to explain what's going on. So, in the Spider-Man mythos, there was a character called Jackal, and Jackal was trying to clone Peter Parker to make an army of what he thought would be the perfect warrior, right? So this goes back to that 3 pick, right? Love me some Spider-Man. Everybody knows Peter Parker's dope. The Jackal was trying to clone him, and he ends up doing so. Now, Kane was one of these clones, and he was thought to be perfect, but he slowly started degenerating, and the Jackal kind of cast him aside and was actually going to destroy him, but Kane actually escaped. So Kane basically then goes out into the world. Now, there was another perfect clone of Peter that was Ben Reilly, okay? Now, this has all to do with that identity crisis, the clone saga from the late 80s and 90s, and you should go read all this stuff. Get a Marvel Unlimited subscription. It's $10 a month. You can read all of this stuff for $10 a month. But in the midst of this, when Kane escapes, Norman Osborn switches the records so that everybody actually believes that Ben Reilly is the actual Peter Parker and that Peter has been a clone this whole time. And it was like really crazy, right? Comics do this a lot. They kind of play with your head. It's really, really crazy. Well, Kane hates Reilly because he's the thing that he believes his own existence is because of that. But he praises and loves Peter because he has empathy for him. He believes that he is also a clone. He understands what it's like to be a clone. And basically, I'm going to jump past a whole bunch of canon stuff, but what ends up happening, Ben Reilly ends up dying. He's killed by Norman Osborn. In tribute to Reilly, as Kane starts to have turn of feelings, makes his big character arc switch and becomes a hero, he decides to don the mantle of Scarlet Spider, okay? But not like necessarily by choice. Like Madam Web kind of has some influence on this whole thing and makes him into the Scarlet Spider, because he kills this creature called the Queen in Spider Island. And if you don't read comics, you're probably like, what the hell is he talking about? Let me get to the real point. This is why I love Kane. In 2011, there was a run done when Kane decides he does not want to be a hero anymore. He's literally going to jump the border and go to Mexico. Okay, so he goes to Houston, Texas, and his plan is to bust up some drug deals, take some money, go to Mexico, retire, live the good life. Okay, now when he goes to do that, he stumbles upon a human trafficking kind of thing. This could bring in, you've seen this in Daredevil season 1, but he finds a crate full of people, and they're like all dead. It's just a discarded bunch of people, and there's one person there still alive, and he rescues her, and he kind of gets dragged into being a hero. So like for that, he's like, well, I'll bust up this human trafficking thing, and then I'm gonna go to Mexico, right? But he like kind of slowly just keeps getting pulled back into being a hero. But he's not like Peter. He's not as benevolent. He'll use guns, he'll use samurai swords, he'll kill people, he'll mess you up. And I loved the tag of the Scarlet Spider run from 2011. It said all of the power and none of the responsibility, which is a play on, of course, with great power comes great responsibility, the basic ideology of Peter. But I just loved the twist on that trope, and honestly, it felt like an indie book written by Christopher Yost. It felt like an indie book, like they were reimagining what Spider-Man could be. And I just remember loving that run. It kind of pulled me back into comics, and I really, 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 really dig it. You should definitely check it out. Like I said, Marvel Unlimited, you can get it all there. Okay, guys? So that's my top 5 Marvel heroes. Let me know in the comment section, what are your favorite heroes? Are any of my favorites also your favorites? Do you not like some of the choices that I made? Let me know. Let's have a discussion about this. All right, so let's check that nerd card. And the question is going to be about the Spider-Man mythos. Now, there is like this really weird dimensional being that is constantly trying to be one with Peter. Okay, not like the symbiote, but it's different. Okay, it wants to be one with Peter, and it actually does so in the early 2000s, and basically it helps to resurrect Peter, okay, and give him like really, really crazy powers. But he slowly rejects it over time, and it then goes to Kane. Kane accepts the gift of this entity, becoming super strong, and it also like allows him to mutate into this like monstrous version. And if you read Spider-Verse, the main one of the inheritors gets killed by Kane, which was so dope. But he gets killed by Kane while Kane is transformed into this form. And the question is, what is the name of that form? What is the name of the entity that was trying to connect with Peter and then ended up connecting with Kane? Answer the question in the comment section below. And by the way, if you get that right, like, you're on my level when it comes to the Spider-Man stuff, because I love me some Spider-Man mythos, guys. All right? So, as always, like the video if you thought it was cool. Subscribe to the channel. Top 5s are going to be dropping every single Tuesday. I've got a ton of cool content on the way, and I'm going to be doing a really big contest soon because we're about to jump over 200 subs, which is really, really cool. And I'm going to be giving away some of my comic, some original artwork and stuff like that. But you can only win if you subscribe to the Den of Nerds. So make sure you do that, guys, okay? And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya!